Hello and welcome to the unplugged version of OzByDrone. I'm Greg and he's John.
I'm John. Hey, everybody. Your roving reporter out with you again. Great to have you back, everyone, for our regular show. Greg's going to hold up a broken piece of technology which fell over. It'll probably get thrown away very shortly.
Yeah, this is my MIDI switching surface that I normally use to fade the music and do all sorts of other things during the show, but it carked it shortly before broadcast today. So we're totally in the hands of my wife, who's going to do a really spectacular job of doing the work of two people.
There you go. I'm sure it's going to be fine. Oh, wow. Well, I'm excited today. We've got a lot of great news to have and a great special guest to have with us. Old guy's going to be with us and showing some really useful things in the show as well. So we hope you can stick around and, join us in the chat. If you've got questions and things you want to know, please fire them away. Hey, Lloyd, I can see you back there too.
Hey, how you doing, John?
Good.
Okay, we've got some exclusive stuff before we get into the regular news. I want John, first of all, to start on the CASA news for this week. What's happening?
We are approaching what you'd almost call a perfect storm at the moment in the RPAS world. We've never seen so many things coming together at one time. Probably one of the big ones is that we know there's going to be a shuffling of the chairs soon at the top end of CASA. And so we don't know what that's going to entail, but we know that we're probably going to have a new Director of Aviation Safety moving forward next year. That will make some changes. But in the RPAS world, in our drone world, we've got the October requirements for record keeping coming in for our excluded operators. We've got more of the MOS coming in. Training organisations have had to completely rebuild their syllabus, and that's going to come online in October as well. All of the MOS things are coming together, Manual of Standards, and also we've got industry groups like AAUS working on a new ops manual template for the industry, which a lot of people will be interested in terms of what they're allowed to do with their aircraft. And so it's all going to happen over the next 8 weeks, everybody. So I'm going to try and give you a bit of a brief rundown as things unfold, keep you right up to date with how we're going with the regulator for our Australian pilots.
Just as we start today, John, let's get into registration just now, but could I ask you a favour? Try and hold the cable for your headphones so that it doesn't jiggle and jangle so much.
Okay. Yeah, here we go. How's that better?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, good. I want to fix that up. Registration is the first one.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're looking at registration is going to be coming in Australia on the 28th of September. Everyone who flies their drone commercially first, whether you're in the excluded category or you're a REOC holder, and you know what that means if you are, will have to register their drone. It's going to be free. They've been setting up the online portal. I had a look at it yesterday. A couple of operators trialed it with CASA online using Microsoft Teams. We all went in and they said, what would you do next? What would you do next? It's still got a little bit of work to do, I think. But basically, the most important thing is it's fairly quick. So once you've got an ARN, which all the commercial and excluded guys would have, which is your aviation reference number, you log into the portal with your number and it just says registered drone. It wants to know the type, whether it's a home-built, generic type or whatever, the flying weight or their maximum takeoff weight, and the serial number. And therein lies an interesting question. The serial number. They haven't really asked for the manufacturer's serial number, so I made one up. Which it wouldn't accept, only because I used a at and character. So you'll only accept letters and numbers and dashes, I believe. But how that's going to unfold, we still don't know. There's going to be some trace with the manufacturer. So if you've got a DJI aircraft, are they going to check with the consumer logs? What if you bought your drone secondhand? Serial numbers, boy, it's a difficult one to do. Obviously, your aircraft has an electronic serial number, but they haven't specifically specified whether it needs to be that or it can be goobly goo 347.
Speaking of goobly goo, Wayne King with a $10 super chat. Hi, Greg and team. But no, you're not goobly goo. We thank you for your super chat. But here's two questions. One, does the serial number have to be unique across all of the people who register? What if two people register the serial number 1, right? So you said it doesn't have to be the manufacturer serial number at the moment. And especially for home-built quads, what's to stop it being one? This is my number one quad that I
Absolutely.
built.
Well, I did. I went through a registration process with a home-built multi-rotor, and basically a large machine, and I just made up the serial number. Of course, that's when I put the and character in there, which it rejected, and changed it to a dash. But of course, yeah, there is no trace. I think because the commercial operators have already registered their ARN, there is if you like, there's a trace in there already for the pilots, attached to the pilots. But moving forward, how that's going to be managed, no one really knows. And I'd love to hear from our guest later, Mitch. And I know, we've had other programs talk about what happened in America when they tried registration there and had to give all the money back, which, I seem to think happened a while ago. But we're going to march into registration for better or worse. And
can I just jump into one
happens.
more aspect about registration? I love the paperwork they sent out to us at the moment. And just imagine, for those in Australia, Jerry Harvey saying, and ladies and gentlemen, you can register for the price of $0, zero down. But wait, it's going to be an annual renewal fee of an undisclosed amount. So they're basically going to trap everyone. You're going to have to pay how much? You don't know.
You don't know. You don't
You're
know.
on the
You're
hook.
You're going to register for free, and you're going to be in the system. And then, a lot of people once they find out what the price is going to be, they're going to remove that. So look, there's a whole lot of uncertainty there. No surprises. I think CASA actually is pushing this out a little bit before it's ready, in my own opinion, of course, because there's actually going to be some changes in, as I said, in the deck chairs at CASA. And so they've got it on a bucket list to get it done. And I think there's legislation in place that says they have to get it done in the third quarter or by the third quarter of this year.
Yeah.
And so that's an interesting requirement as well, being legislated to have drones registered. And so someone put that in place. And, it may all come tumbling down. So
lots of news. We could go forever on this, but I've got one more exclusive story, and this one is hot off the presses. Straight from the No Limit Drones crew, he says, here is the bomb that has been dropped. Brace for impact. Now, the No Limit Drones crew have created a Mavic 2 No Limit Drones core board. So basically, this is a hardware modded No Limit Drones core board, which supports both of the drones in the Mavic 2 series. It comes with hardware roots. So in other words, all of the things that people want to do on a Mavic 2 that don't work because of DJI locking you out. This is a hardware modification, kind of like you used to do on a Nintendo years ago, and you used to mod your Nintendo so you can play those games and what have you. Well, this is now available for DJI aircraft, and in particular the Mavic 2 series. So hot off the press. It's not cheap. It's €399. So you've definitely got to get your wallet out, and you've definitely got to have a legitimate need to do something outside of the traditional DJI limitations, but really good technology coming out from the No Limit Drones guys.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. That might sell off the socks. You never know. The price will come down too, I imagine, after a while.
Yeah. Okay, so that's all the quick little intro. We've got lots to get through today, and let's now get into the news as I press that button. As always, OzByDrone news is brought to you by Air Data UAV. Is your drone healthy, or is it about to surprise you on your next flight? Don't wait to find out. Discover under-the-hood information and review the early signs of problems before you take off again. Use discount code OzByDrone20 for a 20% discount. And if you want to try it out, go to their website. You can actually have the free one where you don't have to pay anything. It's a limited set, but give that a try as well. Air Data UAV, a really, really good set of data about your drone. As we move into our first story, this first one is a cattle drone story today. Flying can be recreational or used commercially. Here's how drones are helping farmers in Australia herd cattle with just their thumbs, as many as 1,000 for one grazier.
We're going to be thinking about methodology and about the industry and trying to stay ahead of the times, well, we've got to look at technology as it comes along and try and embrace it.
So there's actually been a fair bit of new work and discussion about cattle herding and farming in general, but good to see more people doing this. And the interesting thing, let's just fade that down, and I've got to
and obviously off horses.
Talk to my producer to do this where I used to do it, all the way down. So this guy here is talking about where people have had accidents on quad bikes all the way down.
I'm thinking seriously about a position of...
But the use of drones to go and replace where people used to get on quad bikes before and have accidents, really great use of drone technology to help the farming sector.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you're going to see probably specific aircraft for that kind of job, bigger aircraft with sirens. I've been lucky enough to have been on a few cattle musters in helicopters up in the Northern Territory and moving thousands and thousands of cattle with 2 and 3 helicopters working at the time. And those guys, mention as well, even though that's a dangerous pastime, the quad bike really is a dangerous item if it's not really used very carefully. And, day after day, you're exposed to that risk for quite a bit. But we're looking forward. I mean, the cattle will get used to the drone. Eventually, they will ignore it. In the beginning, they're probably quite easy to move. But what you do is you keep surprising them with sounds and having a speaker on it, or a light on it, or and eventually I could imagine a prod, which will be the perfect to be able to fly around and get some astray and help them back into the herd. Absolutely, because that's usually where the accidents happen. You get a couple, 1 or 2 cattle that'll go off the herd and they'll race down the wrong line. You might be working them up a river line or a fence line, and the strays will go off, and so you've got to be quick. So you race off on the quad bike to go and get the strays, and meanwhile your main herd is likely to get loose as well. And while you're racing over there, you go down a ditch that you didn't see, and that's it. It's very dangerous work. So the drone, you can stay behind the main herd on whatever you're on horseback, or whatever. But I want to see some videos of people flying from horseback. I think that'll be great, trotting along and having the controller and while you're that'll be real interesting.
Yeah, let's play our second video while we're here at the moment, because it's also farming related. Can the hovering of a drone replace the attentive eye as a farmer? This is Agriculture Victoria, and they're discussing a trial which aims to find out the answer. So lots of looking at drones in farming at the moment.
I had 2 farmers that I got aircraft set up for down in the Southern Highlands, Greg, Bombala and the Nimitabil area in New South Wales. And they were neighbours. They both decided to drive up to Sydney. They both had the idea, young farmers, they were going to get drones just for this purpose. So I kept an eye on them. I got them flying and safely. They had one crash where one of the guy's daughters was flying the aeroplane chasing a horse. But I said to them after a couple of months, how are you going? You found it very productive. And they both laughed at me and they said, no, not really. He said, we haven't done much looking at the farm. He said, we've been racing them. So, yeah.
There can be a little bit of a fun side of it, but again, this story goes into, can a drone replace the attentive eye of a farmer? Obviously, when you've got so much land to cover and you need to know where your livestock is, what they're doing, are they healthy, are they not healthy, and certainly having that equipment available to help you do that more efficiently is a really good thing.
Yep, absolutely. The farming industry has looked at a lot of different tech, especially GPS track and tracing. So having a tracker on your very expensive animals, which is either clipped to them or whatever, and so you can actually look up online in the GPS data, and you've got an internal network, if you like. The farming industry has looked at that for some time, but it's amazing how the drone industry has said, hang on, hold your horses before you develop too much of that. Have a look what you can do with the drone. It really has turned it on its ear, pardon the pun.
Yeah. Just before we move on to our next story, thanks to Geeksvana towards a new board. Can't be cheap. Yeah, it was an expensive piece of equipment. After the show's over, I'm going to try and fix it, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. Let's move on to our next story now. And this one is, we've talked about autonomous drones many, many times before, and this is taking that to another level. The DJI Matrice 300 has autonomously surveyed 2 underground Australian mine sites using 3D LiDAR technology. The new technology was being used and tested by Emerson, which has been developing its simultaneous localization and mapping autonomous flight system, known as SLAM, Simultaneous Localization and Mapping System. Yeah. Look, this is really, really cool. Underground, no GPS, no nothing, but in an area that's also got differing light. You don't know what light you're going to have ahead of you. And it's using only the LiDAR underground to go and map that out and autonomously explore those particular locations.
There's a few dollars in the air there, guys.
Can I have one?
You need 15 grand for the aeroplane, and I'd venture that the LiDAR unit would be that much if it's a small Velodyne one. But LiDAR technology is fantastic for us. I mean, there's lots of possibilities with LiDAR, and it's actually being pushed by the automotive industry. So having a LiDAR unit on the corner of your car means that rather than the old parking sensors or cameras, now you've got LiDAR data being fed into a computer which monitors all sorts of things, even beyond, to help with braking and control and obviously the autonomous movement of the car. But we'll benefit from those costs coming down and obviously the weight coming down. Now, so, I know the 16 Velodyne is easy to pick up with the Mavic, the Matrice, 300.
Yeah.
So you need something that size, but look out. I mean, LiDAR, if it gets small enough, will be our future obstacle avoidance technology.
Can I just share though? Have you guys heard the rumor that there's going to be LiDAR on Apple phones in the next one coming out? That's a rumor.
Wow, that's pretty amazing because it's the hardware side of it's complicated. You can see the way it's spinning. You've got a rotating a disc and sensor inside, spinning at quite a speed. And collecting data. Well, I mean, the sky's the limit there, boom, boom. But I'd love to see what we'd have in terms of obstacle avoidance. And I'd venture to say the mapping matrice that's in the cave there is probably using the LiDAR unit for its obstacle avoidance because there's not enough light to use any optical sensing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We move on now to the topic of a naughty drone. In this case, we all know about the Christchurch attack some time ago. In the news this week, we find that the 29-year-old Australian national, and this is just some vision from those court proceedings, but the 29-year-old Australian national flew a hobby drone over Christchurch's Al Noor Mosque roughly 2 months before the attacks. Don't know if anyone had heard that one before, but it's certainly something that makes us unhappy to hear about it because we're obviously drone advocates, but they can be used. And as he said, he was using it to study the entry and exit points, according to a report in the Australian Financial Review.
Yep, that's a sad case, that one.
Yep. Pardon me, I'm just signalling to my producer to cut back. I miss having my control surface there, but anyway. But yeah, look, I don't know that there's much to say other than to note that it happened. What do we do to prevent it? I'm kind of reluctant to say that the whole registration and transponding of where drones and aircraft are, I don't know that it could prevent it, but it'd make it easier to identify it after the fact if people are recording the data. What else? What do we do?
We can't. I think you've got to accept that people will do the wrong thing, abhorrent wrong things. And no matter what you put in place, we have gun registration, we still have that problem, so it's the firearm itself, the drone itself is not the weapon. The person who does what they do with it is the problem. So yeah, I don't think we can blame the device. You know, we look at a first story and that story, and you know, there you go. We're going to be able to feed. This is, I believe, anyway. We're going to be able to feed the world with drone technology. I think it's going to be that significant in agriculture. It's going to feed the world. But again, we are going to have these kind of stories.
Yeah, let's move on to our next one. This one is interesting. I'm just going to play the clip first and see if this makes any sense to you.
Same make.
These were taken at the West Highland Police Station, 1984. You were there.
Same model.
These were taken today.
Now,
you'll have to let me see.
This is something that resonates from the movie world. We all know about the Terminator series in theatre. Now, this one was a drone, not a drone, but a robot that was made of kind of a metallic shape-shifting object. Let's leave the Terminator video there, and we've got a couple of photos that relate to this story, but I just thought I'd give you that as an intro. The US Army is developing self-healing and shape-shifting material that could lead to Terminator-style drones which morph to adapt to new threats. So this is a longer story than I can really go into in great detail, but have a look at these polymer things that they've got there. They can actually shape, shift, and change. They can be something rigid, they can be something that turns into a more flexible, pliable surface, etc., and they can self-heal, according to the report, which was in the Daily Mail. Now, if people want to read about this, go into the description for the video, and the full link is there for you to go and have a look at it. But what do you think of that?
Oh, there's a technology jump, isn't it? I the only day was wondering whether I should cut, you know, a 1/4 inch off my props to see if I could get better endurance. But
well, you won't need to cut it. You just ask them to go and, hey, can you change yourself to be more efficient? Thank you, prop.
Yeah, I can't even get my head around how that technology works. But, you know, who knows? I mean, it might start off as skin covering. So, you know, if you had a film, and I know nanotechnology is being developed in film that's very resistant to water and so forth, sunlight, and so you could easily have a surface material on the aircraft that adapts to the temperature and the environmental conditions to change the first layer of the plastic outside. I can conceive how that might be even possible, and then solar panel, you know, material built into all sorts of surfaces. We're seeing that as well. But shape shifting, yeah, that's a new one.
Yeah, look, it was interesting to read, but let's leave all of that for a little while. We're going to go to our guest,
Yay.
the old guy. G'day, Mitch, and hello and welcome.
Am I on?
Are we there yet? Are we there yet?
Are we there, Daddy? Hi, everybody. How you doing?
Welcome, and thanks for being part of OzByDrone, mate. You've got your monkey there as always. As always,
yeah.
What's that white thing What's that white thing in front of him? Oh, it's a little bit of.
It's a table.
No, the other side.
Yeah, it's the other side of the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what's fooling you is that the back of my chair has a green cloth on it.
Yeah.
See it moving? So you see the background through the back of my chair, but it does block the table. So when I swing around this way, you see it blocks the table.
Okay, fair enough. Mitch, you're definitely a FPV guy. You're not so much into the photography space. How long have you been flying FPV, for those who may not have seen you before?
Well, I actually started out in the camera drone space, and but when I started taking notice of the FPV drones, having been an RC pilot for over 50 years, I kind of missed the real flying aspect of it. So I kind of gravitated over towards FPV, and now I would say I'm probably 90% FPV, maybe 10% camera drone stuff.
You know, I've got to get you and Bruce on together one day, and XJet, and find out who's actually the older and who's been flying the longer.
I am.
Have you been flying longer than Bruce, though?
I must have. I'm 73, he's 67. And I've been flying since I was a kid, I mean, I started RC before I was 20, back in the old escapement days. And I've heard him talk about escapements too. So
Yeah.
we both started, but I got 6 years on him. So I would guess I've probably been at it a little.
Fair enough. Look, the
You
reason
got
I got
6
you
years
on
on everybody.
Indeed.
What was that wisecrack, Lloyd? What was that?
I said you got 6 years on everybody.
Yeah.
At least, yeah.
Okay, Lloyd, enough of the jokes. We already had the one about you and the train leaving the station. But anyway, back to Mitch for a minute. The reason I wanted to get you in today, every now and again, we do our global fly-in. And other than you, we've only had camera drones come in. You came in from your FPV drone in your house. I'd like you to share how you did it, what's the magic, so that next time we have this, we can have a few other people do it.
Okay, well, there's a number of ways, Greg. One of the issues with coming into your stream is that you have your own RTMP server, so you need to be able to connect whatever feeds coming from whatever camera to something that has an internet connection that will output to the RTMP. The way that most of the guys today are streaming live from camera drones is using StreamYard or Twitch or one of those things, and then using a device I'm going to show you here in a second to actually act as a camera instead of a webcam. You can plug this device into a computer or a cell phone, and it is viewed as a camera. And this thing is called a SkyDroid. And I'm gonna switch over right now to my little handheld phone that I'm holding here, and it's a webcam. So now what you're seeing is what my little phone is seeing. So I'm gonna get up here and I'm gonna wander over in my studio up to my little rigging up here and show you what I got. This device here is called a SkyDroid. It's a 5 gigahertz receiver that receives the 40 channels of the analog transmission on the FPV band, and it has a USB port on the bottom. I have it plugged into my computer through this wire right now. So my computer sees this as a camera, okay? But it's actually a receiver. So let me come back over here, and I will switch to the output of that camera. And as you can see, I've got some static on it. And I'm just going to show you this because this is OBS. So if I click this button here, this becomes the picture
the shot
that
you're sending. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So now I'm going to plug in a little quad. And now you can see what the camera of the little quad is seeing, even though I'm holding it in my hand. If I were to fly it around, and I flew it around my house the night I came on your show, you'll see that. So this is using that little SkyDroid receiver, and those things are only about $20, and you can get them from Banggood. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them virtually everywhere. Eachine, another manufacturer, has the exact same thing, made by the same people, but branded with their name, and it's in white. And I'm sure there's some other versions of it too. And a lot of the guys that are doing the live flying from the analog FPV feeds simply use that. Okay, so that's one way.
Lloyd,
that's one.
Lloyd, can you do me a favor? Can you do a search for SkyDroid and just chuck a few links in the chat? That'd be really cool. So hypothetically, you mentioned that I do the RTMP feed in, but if I provided the rendezvous link that we're using today, the next time I do a local fly, that should be easier for those people, so they don't need the complicated software. They can just throw their drone at me directly, yeah?
Exactly. Yeah. In other words, when I clicked on the rendezvous link, the first thing I had to do was tell it what camera I wanted to use. And in that list of cameras, the SkyDroid would show up. Now, guys that do live streaming from StreamYards or Twitch or any of these things, basically will just go in the middle of the stream when they're ready to fly from their from a computer or cell phone or anything, and switch the switch the camera input to the SkyDroid input and broadcast it out that way. So that's one way. That's one way. There's another way the guys are doing it, and that is they're simply taking the they've got their cell phone. Here it is. They've got their cell phone as a webcam, and they have a receiver like this, a little ground station analog receiver with a screen on it. So they turn that on. And
those kind of things work, but I don't want to do those. I want to try and get the good feed. But yeah,
but
I get
this actually isn't too bad. If it's all you got, I'm gonna plug the little quad in. If it's all you have, it's better
than nothing. Yeah.
You can still see the flight. And I've seen a couple of guys do it that way. Another guy, Carlos, whose channel is Back from the Sky. Carlos actually took a laptop computer with him out to the park and used his cell phone and tethered it to the data on his cell phone, and then opened a StreamYard live stream. And used the SkyDroid receiver that I showed you as the camera. So he was doing exactly what I just showed you that I'm doing from my indoor computer. And that was another way.
Okay.
That was another way to do it.
Really cool. So the challenge is going out next time we do the global fly-in, and it's the week after Kelly Shaw's first Friday. So it'd be really cool to have some more FPV guys doing that. It's 2 weeks away. We'll be doing the global fly-in again at that time. Now, while I've got you there, Mitch, John had some questions earlier on that he was talking about USA regulator stuff. What was the question you had again, John? I'm trying to remember.
Well, I just remember some time ago when the FAA brought in drone registration. I think it was $5 to register your drone, and I think it was mandated as well, across the industry. But it all went pear-shaped, I believe.
Well, what happened was there was a lawsuit, and they had a stay on it. But after a few months, that disappeared, and it went back to the $5. So we're back to the $5 again.
Okay, so that's across every aircraft. Every recreational aircraft, every home built, custom made. Every single thing that flies with props on it's got to be registered?
Well, if it's a UAV over 250 grams, yes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Legally. Now,
that's right. Model aircraft don't fall under that category.
Well, they do here now. But if you're a recreational pilot, you only have to register once, and then you can use that same number on all your different airplanes.
Okay, so they're attaching the registration number to the person rather than the aircraft.
Correct.
Okay.
As hobbyists, yes.
That makes sense to me.
That's just obvious. But if you have a 107, you have to register every individual drone.
Part 107 has to register them all.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes,
look, long story short of it, safety is CASA's mandate, and John and I had that discussion the other day. Safety is CASA's mandate, and paying money to register doesn't improve safety. But having said that, there is an element of needing to cover some costs. Let's put John up on the screen. Sorry that I don't have my controller over there. But John, why would you want to do anything more than just, once the website is up, it doesn't cost more money to keep it running?
No, that's right. I mean, the CASA do have a cost recovery, which is legislated as well. So they're supposed to recover their costs so that the other taxpayers in our country aren't paying for aviation safety. Although, you pay a $1 per airline ticket, which goes towards various CASA coffers and so forth to keep safety going. So we don't mind a user pays. in the old days, of course, we followed the British model, which was it came out of general revenue,
Consolidated revenue,
tax funded, and so we moved to the what we call the American model, where user pays, and so the people who are using the service or to benefit from the service pay. I think that obviously this idea of it being free to start with, and then perhaps it'll be something else later, is a bit of a gotcha. And they'll have a look at it, but they'll have to get that approved, and I'm hoping they'll consult with industry on it, because there is still a lot of people in the industry are struggling under the costs. They've actually published new costs for some of the services they provide, rather than charging $160 an hour and saying it'll take us this many hours. You might get some back. So if you want to get CASA to look at something for an approval, somewhere to fly, some height to fly, whatever, $160 an hour, depending on the complexity, they'll say, well, it's going to be, 5 hours. And so there's your $800. But if we only take 4, we'll send you back an hour, or be 4.5, which just happened to us recently. We got a little bit back for the first time, but those costs now are going to be fixed. And that is a good idea. There we go. I fell over. That is a good idea, for pick myself up again. That's a good idea, because it gives the industry a bit of certainty around certain costs. And one of the things is a REPL, like a 107 pilot, not the REOC, is going to come down to $17, and I think that's reasonable, because those people are paying a lot for their training here. Yeah. Upwards of $2,000-$3,000 for their training. So their certificate is now going to cost $17 for that issuing of the certificate. Good news, those sort of things. $17, yeah, I understand. Some of the more other charges are just unbelievable. $900 for a tethered op in the 3 nautical mile zone and stuff. I mean, the Americans deal with that by having LANC. So they rolled out that very successfully, and we were pleading with CASA to give us a LANC type system. Maybe Mitch and Lloyd could tell me, how's that work for you guys? Has LANC been a great way to move forward for those kind of approvals?
Yeah. It has been a real boon here. Unfortunately, not for me. One of the very few Class B airports in Florida, which is the one that I live close to, doesn't have it implemented yet. Right. But if I go to Orlando, for example, all the major airports in Central Florida have the LANC system, and I've used it over there, and it's terrific. It works. You go on your cell phone, you get an approval immediately for a given radius, location, and time period, and no problems at all.
What do you pay for that, Mitch?
Nothing.
Hallelujah. Hope they're listening. $900 to do that same thing, Mitch, with a tether on that can't be longer than 45 meters. $900 and 21 days minimum wait.
Wow.
So you can go there and just log on your phone and fly straight away.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'll say it again. 21 days, $900 to fly on a tether. So I don't think compared to what you guys have in Australia and what I hear from Bruce about the CAA, the FAA are absolute saints and very reasonable to deal with compared to some of the stuff that I'm hearing. And I hate to say that about the FAA, but they don't pull the kind of stuff that I hear that they're pulling over in your neck of the woods. Well, see, we've got our safety regulator is separate to air services. Air services are the organisation that controls the airspace or manages the airspace. So between, a lot of the problem is with them. Yeah. They've got their hand out too, and they don't want to staff people to manage RPAS operations or drone operations inside the airport zone. We know it can be done very safely, especially with operators. A licensed 107 or REOC operators, it can be done. Anyway, don't start me because we can do a whole show on it.
Yeah, let's leave that topic there. We've got a couple of things before we move on. I've got to interrupt and stop the show. Safety first, unless the dangerous option is more fun. That's a comment from Ken. Thanks for your $5 super chat. And Metro Drones, $9.99 super chat. Happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for that as well. Now, I've got a couple of things. Mitch, there's so much that you and I could talk about. We're both geeks. And maybe we can do, you know what, 2 weeks from now when we've got the Global Fly-In, maybe we can have you as co-host for a bit of fun.
Sure.
Because while we're waiting for people to fly, we can talk about all sorts of geeky, nerdy stuff. But before we do anything now, Lloyd, is Lloyd there? He's gone.
Yeah, the 1 minute you need Lloyd, he's disappeared. He's been in his seat
I'm
the whole
looking
time.
at his chair, and now it's empty.
Yeah,
And so,
put the 4-shot up. Elvis has left the building, or in this case, Lloyd has left the chair. Look, I tell you what, we're going to do it. We're going to do it anyway, even though he's not there. And to my producer, can you do shot C3, I think it is?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to play Stump the Yank.
Okay, that's right. We're going to have some fun with it. And my producer will need to fade the volume because I don't have control anymore.
There you go.
There we go. It's time to play Stump the Yank. We'll kill the music. I've got some...
The other Yank.
Yeah, he's finally come in.
There he is.
You're on, Lloyd.
Lloyd, we've already played the intro to Stump the Yank. Are you ready?
He'll take a minute to get his headphones on, put his stick down. Hang on, give him a break. It's all right. He's coming in. He's not listening to us yet. He's looking at us, you know, but he can't hear us. Now's the time to throw in that comment. Where are you, Grumpy?
And
I'm back. Yeah.
There you go.
We've already played the intro to Stump the Yank, and we already stumped you because you weren't even there. The Yank has left the building.
Well, don't you ever look at the monitor, Greg? I got up 5 minutes ago.
Oh, I looked, but I just wanted to embarrass you. But let's go with a couple of quick questions. Here's the deal today. I want to ask the questions, and if either of the guests answer correctly and you get one answer each before the chat, that's how we determine if the guests are winning or if the chat's winning. The first question, what is aerial ping pong? Is it A, Aussie rules, B, rugby league, C, rugby union, or D, soccer? Any of the guests?
You got to explain. They're going AFL. What's AFL? These are different codes of football.
Yeah, Australian Football League, yeah. I'm going to go with AFL.
So you've got Australian Football League, rugby union, and soccer, which you would know.
Yeah.
What did you say, Mitch? You said soccer?
I said soccer because I don't know what any of those other things are.
There you go. You're stumped.
Okay, so we've stumped Mitch, and Lloydie got the first one right. Congratulations, Lloyd. Score check. Lloyd 1, Monkey
Have you watched
0.
it, Lloyd? Have you seen AFL? You watch AFL?
I watched some of it, yeah.
Oh, there you go. It's completely different to your type of football.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Both
I'm just
sort of
reading.
games you try to kill each other, but
I'm just reading in the chat, and aerial ping pong. Ken said we played that at my strip club. Anyway, moving right along. Which worldwide pandemic killed more than 12,000 Australians in 1919? Now, Mitch, you were alive then, so.
Oh, come on.
I already know.
I mean, I think it was the Spanish flu.
Spanish flu, yeah.
Correct.
Spanish flu.
Okay, third question.
I don't remember it personally.
But Mitch does. Third question. What was the name of the overweight man who appeared in Life Be In It, launched in 1975? Was it Fred, Norm, Gary, or Rob?
Oh, yeah, Australian names there.
Oh, wow.
Say the names again, Greg, because the clue is in the name itself. So Life Be In It was about a guy who sat on the couch, and we had these ads that you seem quite strange now, telling Australians to get off the couch and go for a walk, and that we were all too lazy and drink too much beer. So their names were?
The names were Fred, Norm, Gary, or Rob.
Norm.
Yeah.
Mitch, what do you say?
Norm, probably.
Norm is correct. Okay.
Norm. He was the normal guy.
Normal guy. Yeah.
Normal guy.
Norm.
I think of Norm from the TV show Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one on the list here, we've got 1, 2, 3 more quick questions. What was the first album to sell more than 1 million copies in Australia? Was it A, ABBA Gold, their greatest hits? B, Whispering Jack by John Farnham? C, Thriller by Michael Jackson? Or D, Born in the USA, Bruce Springsteen?
Oh.
I got to say Thriller.
I'm going to say the one by Jack Farnham.
Jack Farnham.
Jack Farnham. You're on it, Lloyd.
The answer is Whispering Jack by John Farnham.
Okay, well, hey, John and Jack is interchangeable in the United States. We had John Kennedy and they called him Jack, so
That's
I
right.
just Americanized it. Give me a break.
Okay, 2 to go.
Oh, no.
Who is Matilda in the Banjo Patterson song Waltzing Matilda?
Good question.
Is
Oh,
it
man, I would have no clue.
is it A, a sheep, B, a swag, C, a kangaroo, or D, a gum tree?
Wow.
You got to
Swag.
explain what a swag is. You guys know what a swag is?
Think of it
Roll
as a
up bed.
sleeping bag rolled up
Yeah,
bedding.
roll up bed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. A sheep.
You think it's a
Australia.
sheep, Mitch?
Yeah. It's Australia.
Mitch,
It could be
no
any
hope?
of them. I'll guess kangaroo.
It was a swag rolled up
Yeah.
bed.
Oh, I tried the first time. Okay.
Yeah.
Should've
He was
changed.
waltzing the Matilda, waltzing
Yeah.
with your swag around the
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
So that was I mean, no, he was looking after the sheep and probably eating the occasional one.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. Now, hopefully Grumpy, see how you go with this one. Actually, yeah. In what year did Vegemite appear on Australian supermarket shelves? Was it 1954, 1923, 1915, or 1935?
Wow.
1935.
How would we have any clue?
I didn't even know that one.
How would we have any clue? You could stump the Australians with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no.
can't.
I'm just having fun because we had 2 Yanks on. Now,
Yeah.
this
I'm
was,
going to go with
these questions.
and
These
I'm gonna say
questions were
35.
35. Okay.
Yeah, I would say 1935. Or before. It's been around a long time, hasn't it?
pre-Second World War. Yeah, pre-Second World War.
So I will tell you that the chat D&D aerial views 1923. Absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
So again, Mitch,
I
you were
will
around
agree.
back then, so it's all good. Okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
He's just really giving you a hard time today, Mitch.
That's okay. I can take it.
I
At
originally
least
had
you
these
for change.
questions when we had Jeff Sills was going to be on last weekend. Speaking of which, I'll give you a quick update on that Wirecast. I rolled back to the earlier version of Wirecast instead of using the newer one, and that's what we're using today. But anyway, there you go. We'll see what happens when they release some more bugs in the wild. Okay, that's all we've got time for with Mitch, our guest. You're welcome to stick around. In fact, I'd love you to stick around, but we're going to go and have a few more of our news stories for today. And yeah, let's move on with the next one. Thank you,
All right,
Mitch.
Good on
I
you,
appreciate
Thanks for
it.
being here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Now
move
I'm
on.
big.
See you in a couple of weeks.
All right. God, take care. Take care, buddy.
Okay, our next story. This one we've seen a little bit of before. This is a squid drone. At IROS last year, Caltech and JPL prepared a prototype for a ballistically launched folded up drone that looks kind of like a football at first and then launches like this. The drone is stuffed into a tube and then fired straight up with a blast of compressed CO2, at which point it unfolds itself, stabilizes, and then flies off. It's been about... There we go. There it is in slow motion, unfolding, and away you go into stabilized flight. Now, it's been about half a year, and it's now been scaled up in size and capability. Now they've got half a dozen rotors at full onboard autonomy that can squeeze into a 6-inch tube. SQUID stands for Streamlined Quick Unfolding Investigation Drone. I just think it's cool. Just think of the AI that's going into that to go and find out where it is and get to stabilized flight after the ungraceful
Well, you know,
launch.
I used to have a toy. I used to have a MRX, was it? You remember the small drones that were in the market? They still build them. Actually, build some quite good little aircraft. And I used to throw that, you know, to get airborne. I even frisbee it, you know, and it would stabilize right away. I mean, I really love this technology, but it's actually just good use of existing technology in terms of, you know, we've got folding drones, so the arms come out. And, yeah, quickly, you know, the point is you stabilize the IMU while early, and then because it's in state of readiness in terms of flying. It doesn't warm up the IMU, I imagine, in flight. That would be a pre-launch check. So the drone's not starting cold. And that's purely my guess and how it would work. So, you know, in the old days too, we used to work off, when we were working off boats, we'd go and put the drone on a wharf somewhere still so the IMU could stabilize properly. And then, of course, you could recover the drone on the boat. You didn't have that problem. But IMUs have quite, the early ones particularly, were quite sensitive to the way they were, the way they would initialize, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of new technology, though, we've got this one over here. The US Army has, their research lab has come up with a new drone sensor that is capable of finding power lines. Obviously, a lot of investigation has gone into that, but we've seen the, what was it, the Skydio that Ken had a crash with. So now this type of sensor technology is able to go and dodge them. Pretty cool.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I didn't think you could crash a Skydio. I thought that was part of the feature, but apparently you still can.
Can.
It takes a special person to crash a Skydio.
There you go.
Yeah, boom, boom. Now, we move from the sensor of power lines into our next story, and this one actually relates to the Skydio. The Skydio's X2 drone product is now approved for government use. It includes an XD2, a reconnaissance and search drone marketed for defense agencies. Let's just click that and have a look. So the reason why this story is interesting, the government stopped doing work with a lot of the Chinese drones. Skydio is one of 5 vendors that's now been approved for military use in the US. Available Q4 2020, so that's coming up very soon. One of 5 companies now approved for use in the US for military applications.
Yeah, that's good. I'll enjoy looking for that one if we can get our hands on it. Great technology. One of our guys that flies with us just bought an Evo, Austell Evo 2, and it's waiting for that to arrive so we can try it. We're a little bit behind here some ways. I know they're around, but I'd love to see the Skydio stuff. We haven't had a look at it at all yet.
Yeah. Well, just don't fly it near power lines because you know what happens. But anyway, going on from that, searching, using drones for searches. In this story here, the North Wales Police Drone Unit said one of our drones was used to assist a mountain rescue locating someone who was injured. And here's the footage from that particular recovery. So injured person lost in the forest. It's a place called Wepra Woods. Pardon my coughing. Can't do my cough mute button. I need to get my board fixed, but anyway. But there's the person located there. She was injured, located, drone above, and they sent someone to go and rescue her after that. So good use of drone technology. They did use the thermal stuff to help locate her as well. And then we'll go on to our next one. We've only got 1, 2, 3. We've got 4 quick ones left, hopefully. The next one, this one is just something that came on Reddit. This clip was found on Reddit. No explanation, but the video speaks for itself.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to loop that and play it again once it finishes, one more time. Now, here's the question to the chat. Is it real? And I don't know the answer. But there was a lot of debate and discussion on Reddit.
Two lanes wide with a divider. I reckon most of the FPV guys will tell you it's real. You could do that. You could fly that.
Yeah. But just one more time, just look at the stabilization as it goes down the center. Let's play it one more time. As it goes down the center, it's no lateral movement kind of thing. It's just rock solid. And those lines are parallel, perfectly parallel. Possible, but I don't know.
It's just some good, it could be some good flying. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I want to believe that.
I want to believe it too. Our next story here for the moment, this one is a sand drone, and this one is some beautiful art. Taryn Jihan Benjamin, aka Ben, is a French artist, and he's a beach artist. He creates huge sand images that are ultimately washed away by the elements. On his Instagram and YouTube, his beach art features some giant works that can only be fully captured from above. We're just going to have a quick look at this. We're going to switch to the next shot now.
Wow.
We'll just bring the audio down. Now, I'm not going to play the whole clip. I just want to play a little bit for people to get an idea of what this looks like. The link to his channel and his videos is in the description, so please do go and check that out. But I just wanted to give a little sneak teaser for that. Really, really cool.
How does he do that?
How does he do that? He does it with a rake and a separate squeegee kind of thing to do the smooth bits in between. But let's leave that now.
And a GPS.
And a GPS, perhaps. Perhaps. 2 stories to go. Let's go with the next one. This one is, and I want people's opinion on this one in the chat. Ethical, yes or no?
Cattle herding?
Rhinoceros. Play it again. It's
beautiful shots, aren't they?
It's beautiful shots, but when does a shot become too close? I mean, obviously we don't know the zoom level that's being used, if it was a Mavic 2 zoom, for example, but it's getting pretty close to them. This one, again, this was just the discussion on Reddit. Is it unethical to, get that close? Something to think about.
I'll tell you what, if the rhino's not happy and he wants to get tangled up with it, I know who'd win.
Absolutely. And our last one, this video comes from a channel called ETFPV. I've invited him to come onto the show at some point in the near future as our guest. And this is a video, FPV video of an under construction 7-tower bridge and riverfront. I don't know where that is exactly, but he's flying in this. Now, I don't have the audio. I didn't have the rights to use the audio, so I've taken that out. But if you, again, hear the original video with the audio together, absolutely incredible FPV flying. Loved it when I saw it this week. Now he gets around the tower and has a little bit of fun with that one as well. Now I'm going to encourage you again, everyone, to go and check out the original clip. It doesn't do it justice when you're seeing only part of it here without the audio. But do go and check out that link to his channel and tell them that we sent you. Now,
Beautiful.
My producer's just doing some quick flicks ahead so we can get through it to the end of it, because it's the end of our show. Finishing right on time. So, look, with that, we've reached the end of our show. We're going to hopefully have the creator of that last video here in the future. Let me see. Let's get the foreshot up. Any last words from you, Mitch?
Other than I had my mic turned off so I wouldn't make any noise. But no, just thanks for having me, Greg. I enjoyed it. Always enjoy getting together with the community, and look forward to seeing you guys again.
Yeah.
Now, we've got one last thing that we want to surprise everyone with. Now, Lloyd, let's just cut to that full screen. Lloyd is currently flying. He's flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator. He's floating. Okay.
He's floating on in an Icon A5, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, a lovely aircraft.
Yeah.
Are you able to do something more than float for us?
Well, I'm trying to get off the water. Yes.
Oh, well, sure as if Lloyd get airborne, you're going to see a crash. There we go.
You're right.
Wow, this is the new flight sim, right?
Yeah, it's a new
Lloyd,
flight
that
sim.
everyone's raving about. Wonderful stuff. And even
now, apologies that if it's a bit jerky over here because we're sending it across the world and then back out again.
No, that's just Lloyd's flying.
That's his flying.
Yeah, that's my flying.
That's his style.
He's trying to be kind and
yeah.
Well, if I'd have started out up off the water, I'd been fine. But let me get my speed up.
He couldn't just fly at 152 or something, John. You know, something.
No.
No.
He's got to get it off the water.
There we go.
Finally, he manages to get it up.
There you go. You got the flaps down, man. How much flap have you got down? There you go. Raise the flaps up. There you go.
There you are.
There you go.
There, get some speed on.
Let's see. Give us an inside the cockpit view, Lloyd.
Oh,
here we go. Now it's all going to go bad from here.
Nope, I leveled it.
I think we're going to get wet.
No.
Not today.
The Icon's a great little new recreational aeroplane, and it's trailerable, so you can trailer this aircraft.
Yeah.
It's a little two-seater, very easy to fly. Despite Lloyd's example here, it's actually going to take over. They're all carbon composite built, so there's no corrosion issues, and they're redesigned the cockpit to look much more like a sports car.
And this is actually in Sydney Harbor where I'm flying this. So,
well, stay away from my place.
Well,
I was going to say, John, you have recollections back to the bottom of the harbour scheme. Maybe that was Lloyd's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, there we go.
Okay.
That's great.
So we'll see if we can get Lloyd flying again in future and have a bit of fun with that. And John, last words from you for the day.
Great to have Mitch on today and seeing his toys and what he's getting up to. It's going to be great to have you back in a couple of weeks, Mitch. Come back and host that FPV special. I'll keep up to date with all the CASA stuff. Everybody come and tune in each week. And for the Australian pilots anyway, we'll try and keep you up to date with what the regs are doing. And for our American friends, well, you can just all have a good laugh because it'll be funny. There'll be some humour in that for sure. Lloyd, thanks for doing what you do, mate. It was fun.
Yeah, I had fun. Thanks.
And perhaps when we will have Mitch co-hosting in a couple of weeks, we'll see if we can get John flying for the fly-in. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'll be good. I'll do that.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all we got time for today. It's been fun, as always, having all you guys here. Thanks for those people who were in the chat, in the super chat, and we almost had a premature switch to some music or something. I don't know what happened there, but let me just have a quick look at the last messages on here. No, that's all. We're going to leave it there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the show. See you next time. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.